Hey team, so this is going to be your overview for ACE. So that's your answer, cite, explain. Now we use this a lot in my classes to help you guys formulate your analysis. So this is just going to be a quick overview lesson, so no matter, anytime I give you ACE, you have an idea how to do it. Okay, so let's get started. So you probably heard me say ACE several times before. So what is it? What is ACE? ACE stands for answer. Answer is your prompt answer or your question answer. A lot of times that we're doing in the beginning, we're doing what we call signpost. So it's the question that you're answering on the signpost. C is for cite. This is your evidence you need to use to prove your answer from the signpost. Now C, it's usually, in our case, is a copy and paste thing. So we're copying direct evidence from the text. And E is for explaining. This is the most important of all of them because sure, you may understand it in your head, but you have to be able to explain it to anybody else who would read your writing. So A is answering the prompt question or thesis. Now I've updated a lot of these sentence stems. So we have title of the text, uses, signpost, because, and blank. Our title of the text right there, that's going to be whatever we're reading. So our first one that we did was Selena's blog, so you put Selena's blog there. We just finished doing Quilts of a Country, you put Quilts of a Country there. Whichever one we're using, that's what you're going to put here. You're going to put uses, then whatever signpost I give you. Contrast or contradictions, exaggerative language, whatever it may be. Then you have to answer the because. So this is where it becomes difficult because you need to really think about why did the author use that figurative language? Why did the author use that hyperbole? This comes from you. This is not something you're going to find anywhere in the story. Now C is quite the opposite. C will actually look for your proof and your source. This one actually does come from the book, and it's probably the easiest one to use. So this is shown by, you're going to look for a sentence that will help answer your A. Okay? So pretend like you're a detective looking for evidence to solve a case. That's what you need to do with the cite. You need to go into your text and find a sentence that helps prove your answer. Now, with cite, this is the only time you can copy straight from the text. And you have to make sure you pick your sentence very carefully. Don't just pick the first sentence you see on the paragraph. So you got to make sure it's with purpose because that will help you with the E. Explain. Explain why your quote answers your question, prompt, or thesis. So it kind of all builds together. Everything goes back to that A. The C is with the A and the E is with the A. You're all trying to get to the answer. You're trying to solve this because. Explain why your quote answers your question, prompt, or thesis. This quote proves, you're going to restate what A said, because blank and blank. So you're going to go with this blank and blank. You're going back to your C's and trying to figure out what was so special about this sentence you picked out that proves this, your A. Okay, so you're always trying to prove A. So this is an example of a signpost. This is extreme or absolute language. So if you get one of these signposts in your assignment, first thing you gotta do is read it. So you'll have some information on the bottom to tell you what it's about. Now extreme or absolute language is really about using big hyperboles, extreme words like best or awesome or most amazing, greatest, whatever it may be. If you have those exaggerated kind of language, then you found a signpost that's the extreme or absolute language. So as you're reading, if I give you one of these, you'll be looking for that type of language. Once you find one, highlight it because that's going to help you guys with your ACE. Now I'm going to use the example of Selena's blog. So let's go ahead and look at that. So Selena's blog was the first reading we did in class, and it was a quick blog about a girl who was an immigrant from Colombia, and she talked a lot about her experiences. And she used extreme or absolute language when she was speaking of her home country. Okay, so I'm going to answer the question, and of course my question was about extreme or absolute language. Selena's blog uses extreme or absolute language. See, title uses the signpost when she speaks of her home country to show how proud she is of her culture. So that's my because. So I have my title uses the signpost. Then I have to answer, why does she use that? Well, she uses it to show how proud she is of her culture, to show how proud she is of where she came from. So that would be my A. Now, where do you come up with this? Did I get this straight from the text? No. This is my assumption. This is my thought process. I think the reason why she uses this language is because she's proud. And we'll talk a little bit about it, and I'll try to prove that to you. Let's go to C for cite. Again, this is a copy and paste kind of job, right? This is shown when she says, "Now I feel proud to be a Colombian American teen. I feel that like I have the best of two worlds. Some of my relatives are still in Colombia. Barichara, the village where I was born, is considered one of the prettiest villages in the country." So if you notice, these two quotation marks lets you guys know that this is not my words. This comes from the text. This part I copied straight. Nothing was changed. Okay? I let you know that it was not my words by saying this is shown. Okay? Now, why did I pick this one? Does this show extreme or absolute language? Let's look at it. We have her talking about, I have the best of two worlds. She uses that word best. That's a very extreme word. She talks about Barichara, the village where she was born, and she says it's considered the prettiest villages in the country. The prettiest. Right? Another extreme or absolute language. So we have one example of extreme and two examples of absolute language, and they're both about her country. So I was very deliberate to make sure that whatever source I found had that extreme or absolute language, because that's what I'm trying to prove. E, again, remember this all goes back to that A. Explain why your quote or answer is your question or prompt, okay? So this quote, why does my quote that I picked for C answer is A? This quote proves how much she loves her country by calling the city she is from one of the prettiest villages in the country. See how I singled that out? I went back in here and I found the exact wordage that she uses. This is probably the most extreme of all of them. And I took that and I explained it. She is calling the city she is from one of the prettiest villages in the country. Then I explained what that means to me. This bold and very positive statement reveals the pride she has for her birthplace. So the E in this one is explaining the C, which explains the A. Again, it's a big cycle. Now, if you noticed, you probably didn't have to read the story to understand what I'm trying to do, because I'm explaining in full detail what was going on in the story. You have to do that too when you're writing these ACEs. Don't tell like paragraph 1 or look at paragraph 3. You should be able to leave it on a desk somewhere and somebody can pick it up and know exactly what you're talking about, even if they haven't read the story. So it has to be like in its own little bubble, its own little self analysis, okay? Now, E, I'm going to give you guys a couple of hints for E. A lot of people have trouble trying to figure out, Miss, well, how do I explain it? Well, look at those words. Maybe there's specific words. Pull them out and tell me, what does that mean? How does that show extreme or absolute language? If it's something about compare and contrast, what would they compare and contrast? What was she comparing and contrast? So take your time and ask yourself those questions. Is what in here And that piece I picked out is the most important. So ACE, remember, is just a formula. It's not a end-all solution to everything. It's just to help you guys get to that idea that we are analyzing, we're not summarizing. So no longer are we going to be reading and telling me something. We are going to make our guesses. And I know that's kind of a scary thing to do in class because so many times you've been told, don't guess, don't guess. Here I'm encouraging. As long as you make that guess and you have proof to back it up, you are in the right. So I really hope that helps you guys when it comes to ACE. Remember, we are taking this piece with all of your opinions and your proof to prove your opinions. And eventually we're going to turn these into full essays. So this is just step one of everything. I know you guys can do it. So just take your time. Really be particular about what you use as far as your citations and your explanations. Ask yourself those hard questions. Why do you think she's using it? Why is that word there in that specific part of the sentence? Or why even that word to begin with? There's so many words that us authors use them very carefully because we want to convey the right message. So take your time, read carefully. I know you guys got this. It gets easier as you do it. So I hope that helped, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.